Bon matin tout le monde. Merci d'être ici. Thank you all. Thank you, David. My name is Justin. I am Canadian. Merci, David, pour cette introduction et pour ton travail pour assurer la sécurité des Canadiens en tant que ministre de la Sécurité publique. Effectivement, on a travaillé ensemble depuis bien des années. Quand j'ai été élu pour la première fois en 2008, j'étais sur le comité parlementaire sur l'environnement et David était le membre senior, le porte-parole en matière d'environnement qui m'a beaucoup enseigné dès mes débuts sur les procédures parlementaires et comment être engagé de façon utile et ayant beaucoup d'impact pour être là pour défendre les intérêts de nos citoyens et des intérêts nationaux. Je tiens aussi évidemment à remercier Rachel d'avoir aidé à organiser le forum aujourd'hui, mais surtout, merci Rachel pour tout ce que tu fais à chaque jour pour porter la voix de notre communauté juive et lutter contre l'antisémitisme, un enjeu qui malheureusement est souvent beaucoup trop personnel pour nous tous. Mais ton courage et ta férocité est inspirante pour nous tous, Rachel. And to everyone here today, a heartfelt thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules, not just to contribute to this vitally important conversation, but for choosing to step up and learn together how to tackle better the societal scourge that is anti-Semitism. I know the explosive rise of anti-Semitism we've seen since Hamas's heinous October 7th attacks had left Canada's Jewish community and Jewish communities around the globe feeling terrified and far too often alone. So your decision to recognize that everyone has a role in addressing anti-Semitism and your choice to be here today matters. A few weeks ago, I was in Poland to mark the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. I stood in the house of Rudolf Hess, the commandant of the concentration and extermination camp, a house mere steps away from the inhumanity, the evil, the genocide that he oversaw. I sat with leaders from around the globe to listen to the stories, the lessons from Auschwitz survivors. I paid tribute to the 1 million Jews who were systematically, deliberately murdered on those grounds and the 5 million more who perished in the Shoah. There were many striking moments on that trip, but one has stuck with me ever since. Before making the drive to the commemoration ceremony, I had the privilege of sitting down with Miriam and Howard, two Canadian Auschwitz survivors who accompanied me to mark that important occasion. And after Howard recounted his family's harrowing ordeal, he turned to me and said that he was deeply worried. He was worried that people, especially younger generations, were forgetting how the Holocaust came to be or simply not being taught about it. He was worried about the rising wave of Holocaust denial and overt anti-Semitism that is becoming increasingly normalized. And he reminded me that Auschwitz did not fall from the sky. Auschwitz did not fall from the sky. That line was popularized 5 years ago at the 75th anniversary of Auschwitz's liberation by Marian Turski, who was also a Jewish Auschwitz survivor. And I say was, because sadly, after dedicating his life to fighting injustice, speaking out against anti-Semitism, and sharing his story, including once again at the ceremony I was at in January, Marian passed away just a few weeks ago at his home in Poland. Both Marian's evocative words and his recent passing are a poignant reminder. His words are a poignant reminder that violent Jew hatred, that the Shoah did not start with the gas chambers, that the Nazi regime undertook a careful, deliberate, years-long process of dismantling democracy, co-opting institutions, and dehumanizing others to establish the conditions for genocide. But his passing is also a reminder that we're now 80 years removed from the Holocaust, that the generations to come will not be so fortunate as to learn directly from survivors. That, as Howard warned, as Miriam warned, and as Marian warned, memory is fading. Denialism is increasingly mainstream, and the warning lights are increasingly flashing red. And let there be absolutely no doubt, the warning lights are flashing red. Anti-Semitism is on the rise, particularly since Hamas's brutal, barbaric terrorist attack of October 7th. Holocaust denialism is on the rise. Violent extremism is on the rise. What you are experiencing is not normal. Anti-Semites singing the praises of Hamas and Hezbollah while waving their flags in the streets of our cities is not normal. Jewish students being shouted down in their classrooms and campuses for simply expressing their identity, their opinions, their beliefs is not normal. Synagogues and Jewish day schools being attacked and firebombed by cowards in the night is not normal. The increasingly common, deafening indifference toward or even rationalization of rising anti-Semitism is not normal. The term Zionist increasingly being tossed around as a pejorative, in spite of the fact that it simply means believing in the right of Jewish people, like all people, to determine their own future, is not normal. No one in Canada should ever be afraid to call themselves a Zionist. I am a Zionist. None of this is normal. And it is incumbent upon me and upon my successor as Prime Minister, upon the premiers, municipal leaders, police chiefs, and every single Canadian, particularly non-Jewish allies, to not only speak out against anti-Semitism, but to act, to stop its spread, and to take this deadly threat seriously. David pointed out that all forms of hatred are on the rise, and we should all be worried about that. But as our friend Erwin Kotler has reminded us many times, anti-Semitism is the canary in the coal mine of global hatred. Hatred always starts with anti-Semitism and never ends there. Now, I know there are some in this room who have disagreed with some of our government's actions over the past few years, sometimes passionately. But I want to be crystal clear. When it comes to the safety and security of Jewish Canadians, we will always be on the same page. There is no responsibility that I and my government take more seriously than that of keeping Canadians safe. C'est pour ça qu'on a pris plusieurs mesures pour combattre ce fléau qu'est la haine et l'antisémitisme. On a lancé le programme pour la sécurité communautaire du Canada pour que les synagogues, les écoles juives et les autres endroits où la communauté juive se rassemble aient accès aux fonds nécessaires pour assurer leur sécurité. On a présenté le tout premier plan d'action canadien de lutte contre la haine qui illustre la stratégie du gouvernement fédéral pour lutter contre l'antisémitisme et appuie financièrement les organisations qui mènent cette lutte sur le terrain. On a créé, avec Erwin Cotler, le poste d'envoyé spécial du Canada pour la préservation de la mémoire de l'Holocauste et la lutte contre l'antisémitisme, et on y a nommé l'extraordinaire Deborah Lyons, qui, dans ce rôle, a pu s'assurer que notre communauté juive soit entendue, notamment à travers la récente publication du Guide canadien sur l'antisémitisme selon la définition de l'Alliance internationale pour la mémoire de l'Holocauste. Un outil important parce qu'on ne peut pas lutter contre l'antisémitisme sans le comprendre. Mais on ne s'arrête pas là. Aujourd'hui, j'annonce que le gouvernement va financer 7 projets de plus qui vont permettre de préserver la mémoire de l'Holocauste et éduquer les Canadiens à son sujet. But I know, we all know, there is so much more work that needs to be done. And that's why I'm challenging all of you, politicians, stakeholders, leaders, Canadians, to keep up this fight and to sweep anti-Semitism into the dustbin of history, where it belongs. Now, as you probably know, some of you may be counting down the minutes. I only have a few days left in this job. But I chose to be here today, like I chose to spend one of my last weeks as Prime Minister in Poland, because fighting against anti-Semitism, standing up for the safety of the Jewish community, both here and around the world, listening to survivors, hearing their stories, and heeding their warnings, is my solemn duty, my solemn responsibility as a leader, but also as a father and as a Canadian. 80 years ago, after witnessing the horrors of the Holocaust, the international community made a commitment embodied in the 2-word phrase, never again. I think we all know that we are failing in that pledge. But failure is not an option. Never again? Never again is now. And it is time for all of us, from every order of government and every corner of society, to act like it. Merci d'être ici, mes amis. Thank you very much.